Welcome to Between the Lines. This is the show we do twice a year, an update from Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, one of the most influential congressmen on international defense, energy. He is what we call one of the top cardinals in the top 5 or 6 ranking congressmen in Washington. He's got a lot to talk about today. He's been traveling, he's done things, and we look to him for a lot of stuff. So we're going to talk to him. We're going to ask him some questions. Welcome, Congressman.
Great to be with you, Alan.
About our 9th or 10th show. So
one of my favorite shows I do, and I do shows all across the country. So thank you. It's a privilege to be with you.
We're glad. Well, these are your people.
Yes.
I mean, Morgan County, Roane County, and Anderson, and all in Knox. Actually, not a lot watching Knox, but we're building a big group.
These are the people. We were talking about this earlier. When I first won 14 years ago,
that's right.
We won our election in Anderson and Roane counties.
That's right.
And gave us the margin to win. So thank you.
And it's in the conservative transitions that have taken place in the last 10 or 15 years, Morgan County, because of the prison, was always a very Democratic county. And now it runs 80% for you every time.
Over 80% Republican.
Over 80%. Yeah.
Very thankful for that.
And very good. And we'll watch and see what happens. Before we start on the energy sector, you want to take 2 or 3 minutes and tell us what the forecast is looking like nationally. I mean, we see a lot of talk about swing states. We finally narrowed it down to Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. I'm more interested really in how that affects the down ballot, House and Senate.
It's an excellent question. It's a national election. Truth in advertising. I was a Trump delegate. I'm a big Trump supporter. Donald Trump is a friend of mine. He's endorsed me, and I've endorsed him.
Right.
Now I'm going to step back and be objective. It is going to come down to the swing states.
Sure.
The reality is Tennessee and Alabama are not going to be in play. Trump wins that. He wins Tennessee by 30 points. Down ballot, that means obviously Marsha Blackburn will win very easily. I'm not no hubris in this. I will win very easily. Down ballot in our state, Republicans are going to do very well.
Yes.
But as we look at the swing states, and I'll be specific, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona.
Ohio will be red.
Ohio is already red.
Virginia in the mix, or are they still blue?
Probably leaning more blue. It's going to be tough, but it is in play.
Okay.
The field was broader and better for Republicans against Joe Biden, no question about that.
Right.
He was really unable to do anything. He's been in a bad place for a long period of time.
Physically, yeah.
Yes, and mentally, and that basically came out in that first debate.
Yes.
And after that, the Democrats turned on him, put Kamala in there, and that gives them a fighting chance. But look at the swing states. Down ballot, though, United States Senate. I predict that Republicans will pick up 2 to 3 seats. On a good night, 4 or 5.
Yeah, they got it's their turn in the cycle.
It is better in the cycle. Yeah. Although last time, a lot of it, Alan, depends on the candidates. You've got to have good candidates, whether you're Republicans or Democrats. If you've got a bad or fundamentally flawed candidate, you're going to lose, and that's the reality. So we're looking better in the Senate.
We're going to pick West Virginia.
Yes. That's a definite win. That's in the R column.
That's Tennessee, Alabama kind of country.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We will probably win in Montana. Mm-hmm. We will probably we've got a shot in Ohio to beat Sherrod Brown, longtime Democrat there, but Trump is going to win so big in Ohio that should have some ripple effects. So we could have a good night. Let's be a little personal. To me, the House.
Yes, and to me too.
And to you too. That's right. If the House stays Republican, I stay chairman, I stay cardinal. That means that I write the energy and water bill for the House as I did last year and this year.
Let's capture. That means every energy site in the country, the laboratories, the science, from the ORNLs and the Y12s to Sandia to Hanford cleanup to Livermore. It doesn't matter where you go.
Yep.
You're writing the bill to fund those.
That's my bill. But where is my heart? My heart is in Oak Ridge. Okay,
yes.
I love Oak Ridge in Anderson and Roane County. I mean, this is my passion. I've had presidents, Donald Trump. I've had prime ministers, presidents of other countries. When I travel, they say Chuck Fleischmann. That's synonymous with Oak Ridge.
Sure.
And I love this community. And because I'm chairman, I have roughly about $8 billion of federal investment flowing into this community. That's the best investment the federal government makes.
No question.
Thank you. So it means so much to me.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Okay. Well, anyway, so there we are. So we got, if the House continues Republican, which is less likely than the Senate, but more likely than not.
Correct.
And so I think we've got a lot going on there. We've got some good things. But we've never had a House member in the state of Tennessee with more influence than Chuck Fleischmann has right now. So it's important to everybody in Tennessee. Are we at the point where we can talk about the French and Oak Ridge?
Not yet.
Okay. So we'll come back to that in a future show.
We'll just say that we've got one of the biggest announcements in Tennessee history coming up in September.
Okay.
I am so thankful for that.
4th, isn't it? September 4th, something
yes,
like that.
And again, Oak Ridge wins again. Why? Because they're the best.
Yeah, that's right, and they have good leaders like you, and that and state leaders as well at times. Okay, so the focus of this show is international. Where is America in the mix of everything that's going on in the Middle East, everything that's going on in Europe and everywhere else? Let's just start with the big fish. My understanding as a regular citizen, and I have so much work to do and 2 jobs that I really don't read as much as I should. I'll read an hour a day, but basically, Russia has spent 2 years pounding the eastern side of Ukraine. Ukraine drops the slip pitch, comes around to the north, and invades Russia from the north. Is that correct?
That is correct,
Okay.
and that is a very good summary of what's happened. But if I can fill in a little bit,
Please.
Putin thought that when he attacked Ukraine, he was going to move right through there within 30 days and accomplish his goals. He was wrong. A huge miscalculation.
Did he ever plan on taking all of Ukraine?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know, but what surprised us was we thought that perhaps he would make an incursion in one part of the country. The fact that he had an overall attack all across the nation. Now, his casualty rate, staggering, anywhere between 200 and 400,000 casualties. Never counted on that. Ukraine has showed steadfast resolve to fight this war and to win this war. Being candid, if you look at the Ukrainian map, the Russians have taken large amounts of Ukrainian territory. If you were looking at the map, you can look in the east, and as they swing around all through the south, there are areas that now are Russian occupied. But you hit it on the head. A surprise attack by Ukraine in the north into Russia, where there was actually no fighting going on, major incursion into Russia. I've characterized this as a Doolittle moment. If you remember, at the historically at the beginning of World War II, we were not doing well. The Doolittle raid on Tokyo. This is one of those moments where they actually went in. Putin has had to move out over 200,000 citizens. It's a huge incursion. Another punch in the gut.
You say he's moving them out of that zone so they don't
get killed? That's right. I mean, so what do I think?
What is killing Russians? Is it air or is it all ground? I mean, what's the military usage?
It's the Russian, sadly, and this surprised me, but the Russian way of handling combat is to overwhelm with numbers. They did it in World War II. But what happens then is you have high casualties.
Yes.
It forces
you throw
Ukraine,
everybody at them.
Yeah,
sure.
That's right, and it forces Ukraine to use their arsenal, their ammunition, but a high casualty rate and the like. But this incursion in the north has been very successful. It's been very tactical. I've been in Eastern Europe and Central Europe, several countries, 7 countries, to a country. They are concerned about Russia. They are backing Ukraine. They are putting monies into their budgets to make sure that Ukraine is funded. I was at one place where they said Ukraine had actually 47 different types of armored vehicles, some American, some German, but you can imagine that if you were put in a vehicle, you might be in a French vehicle today and a German vehicle tomorrow. Very interesting dynamic.
You would need digital schematics for every different thing you do, probably, et cetera, et cetera. In America, there's been mixed support for the Ukrainian war effort. Typically, Democrats have been for funding Ukraine, and Republicans have, to a majority at least, typically not wanted to fund Ukraine money. And I don't think it's Ukraine for the Republicans as much as it is large amounts of money going offshore. You can make a very credible defense of why we should. Why do you think Republicans have so many problems with that?
Fortunately, I'm a Republican who has supported in funding Ukraine.
Right.
Okay, all of my veterans I have worked with in the House are the same way.
Oh, good.
There have been, and as a matter of fact, when we went over to Europe, every Republican in our delegation who went had been Republicans who supported funding in Ukraine. We can't let Putin win. He's a thug. What they're doing, it's rape, pillage, plunder, horror stories, taking children, but in Ukraine. But what's happened is it's potentially destabilizing for the rest of Eastern Europe. I've been to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland. Poland is strong in its fight against Russia. But even I've recently been in Austria and Germany. Very, very strong support for Ukraine against Russia. These countries are very scared. They don't want to see a repeat of post-World War II when the Soviets went in there, took their countries over, dominated them. So it's just a sad situation.
Isn't the Russia of today depleted? I mean, they're putting kids in the war in their teens. They're using other kinds of things. Aren't they really barely able to supply anymore?
Well, they're larger than Ukraine. It's an excellent question. They are calling up conscripts. They are bringing about, I think, 30,000 troops into the fight each month. And Ukraine has a lesser population. Ukraine is working.
Still 80 million.
Yes, but they are Ukraine in an interesting situation. They used to conscript or bring in older people older like 27. Theory being, leave the younger people alone so that they could grow up and have families and the like.
Sure.
Now they're going to have to dip down into that and start taking younger people into combat. But I would say this: Ukraine has stemmed the tide of the war. Has shown Russia its resolve to fight. But one of the reasons I hope Donald Trump gets elected is I truly believe he will be able to bring a peace to the region. A settlement. Now, is that going to be something that either side loves? Absolutely not. It's probably going to be some type of a compromise deal. But if anybody can cut a fair deal that they'll listen to, it's Donald Trump.
Interesting. I could ask you what was Putin's motivation, and you say who knows. But in the end, what about the argument that Russia was threatened by Kamala Harris, said, start talking about nukes and start talking about things 2 years ago, and that he felt like NATO, let's get him in NATO, let's do this, let's do that. Do you think he was back to the wall kind of in his own mind?
No. I think this is sheer Russian aggression.
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin is an ex-KGB agent.
Sure.
His father was a KGB agent. Yeah. He's president of Russia, and he has structured it now that he will stay in that role indefinitely. That's never good. So, in effect, he's become a dictator. Think about the Russian ethos. It was the Soviet Union, and it collapsed. It collapsed in his lifetime. He saw the Iron Curtain dissolve,
he
countries...
25, 30 years old.
That's right. A major, major embarrassment to the Russians and to their psyche. So then it becomes a Russian republic. You have all these other former Soviet republics now free all around them, many of which love the West. I've been in these countries. They love the United States of America and what we did. So part of it is that, and part of it is, candidly, I think he thought he was going to have a much easier time going into Ukraine. Now, I will say this. It was an affront to him to talking about Ukraine going into NATO, okay? But what happened? He invades Ukraine, and Finland and Sweden join NATO. So he's really losing ground internationally on this. And ultimately, again, I go back to the fact that there's no way that Joe Biden could negotiate a settlement. He's just incapable of anything right now.
Does Putin have allies?
Putin does have allies.
What countries?
Belarus is a key ally. Unfortunately, Slovakia has moved in his column recently. Czech Republic, I've been in, is very, very strong for Ukraine. And surprisingly, Orban in Hungary has really actually moved closer to Putin and to Russia. That's been a bit of a disappointment. And, of course, China. China is Russia's big ally. China is aghast that Russia has done so poorly in Ukraine. It's been an embarrassment. It's been an embarrassment.
What did the Chinese do? Just financial help, weapons help?
Well,
probably they're not going to send 1 million troops to Russia.
No, they will not. China is watching from afar, watching us from afar, and watching the West. Unfortunately, and I've seen this in my trip not only to Eastern Europe but to Central Europe, China is everywhere.
Yeah.
And even in countries that are friendly to us, I'll be specific. I was in Austria a couple of weeks ago. It's in Vienna, beautiful city. And I asked them, I said, are the Chinese here? Oh, yes. Are you doing business with the Chinese? Oh, yes. But you love the United States? Oh, yes. But China is here and they're dealing. So they've got just a larger game plan, a longer term plan. Russia is inept. They do some things well. Sadly, they do nuclear weapons well. And it's outrageous that they're threatening to possibly use a tactical nuclear weapon on the battlefield. Joe Rubio and I were talking about that at ETEC today, that we have to condemn that type of rhetoric coming from anywhere. But
that's right.
Absolutely. So
how tactical can a nuclear weapon be? I mean, I've read, but I mean, they're now they can restrict them to like a 2 or 3 mile radius, right?
Well, that is correct.
Not radiation, but
that's right. Well, and even the radiation, we do not want to ever see a nuclear weapon used again anywhere, a large one or a tactical.
Sure.
But what a tactical is, it's for a smaller purpose to basically take out or do something in a smaller orbit. But there will be a radiological component to that, and it may in fact be lasting. So we don't want it. The real danger in that is escalation. What does the United States do? And again, that's a commander-in-chief decision.
I got you.
If there is ever a use of a tactical nuclear weapon on the battlefield in Europe by the Russians, very scary. Does it escalate? How do we respond? Do we do nothing? Do we respond in kind? Do we let our allies who have a nuclear capability respond? Those are open questions, and we hope those are questions that we never have to face.
Absolutely. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. We're going to talk about Iran for a little bit.
Sure.
Okay.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Looking for a college with online programs that work for you? Roan State offers flexible courses so you can go to class when it's convenient. Roan State will be there every step of the way to ensure you succeed with resources like tutoring, advising, and counseling. Find out if you can complete your degree 100% online and on your time. Get started today. Visit roanstate.edu/online to explore your options.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
Overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Welcome back. We're talking to Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, chairman of the Energy and Water Committee and a member of Defense Appropriations. Whole new slate of things he's got to be on top of. But we're going to talk about Iran. We've been talking a little bit about Ukraine and Russia. We're going to jump around the globe a little bit. Iran's still a problem.
Iran is the big problem in the Middle East for several reasons. They have a newfound affluence. Unfortunately, I blame this administration under Trump. They were broke. The sanctions were working. So what did they do with their wealth? They have funded radical Islamist groups. Let me be specific. Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Al-Qaeda. And what does that mean? That means that Israel is surrounded by these radical groups in different parts of the world.
Right.
That's right. Lebanon, it's got Hezbollah.
Yeah.
That's right. So Hamas, obviously, with that horrible, brutal attack on October the 7th, came into the country, but they're everywhere. They're well-financed, and Iran is, with their rhetoric and with their actions, trying to be the predominant bad actor in the Middle East, and unfortunately, very strong anti-Israel and anti-U.S. message, and they just really have to be stopped.
You know, I grew up and you grew up. We grew up where everything was Iraq-Iran.
Yep.
And the Shah got deposed for injustices and everything else. And that really was our stability in the Middle East at that time, was Iraq was a partner to us. Bad behavior at home, but internationally, obviously, he played a key role for us up until 1980. So I look at it and I think, how many people in Iran? What's the size of that country?
It's a large country. I don't know their exact population. It's a large country, tremendous oil reserves. It's a wealthy country if it uses its resources, but it is a populous country. But I think you hit it on the head. Under the Shah, who, and a lot of this stems in the 50s, the United States had a coup and threw out someone and put the Shah in power. And the Iranians never got over that. But the Shah was a steadfast U.S. ally. After the revolution in 79, a radical Islamist state took over in Iran, a theocracy, and has governed the country ever since. But the big check in the system, you hit it on the head, was Iraq. And when obviously they had the Iran-Iraq war, but Saddam Hussein was a bad guy. He did a lot of things wrong. But when we took him out, we took out the only check on Iran in the Middle East, and that had its consequences. Once again, a bad guy, horrible actor, but
we
he was
never,
a check
we
on
never.
Iran.
I haven't heard the name Iraq probably in 5 years. I mean,
That is
are they
correct.
doing anything?
No, they're surviving, but they are no longer the political power that they were, or military.
Who's running
powers. They've got a governing body but it is not. It's almost analogous to what you had in Libya post Gaddafi. Certain countries, when they lose their leadership, devolve into insignificance, and that's sad. But that's what's happened in Iraq post Saddam Hussein. Now, if you recall, sadly, for a long period of time, ISIS was running rampant in Iraq. Donald Trump fixed that. He defeated ISIS, but they are making a comeback in certain sectors.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we look at the Middle East. We've got Israel over here in the West, and we see all of this other activity going on. The Saudis are staying out of everything.
Well, interesting. Well, the Saudis were the predominant Arab actor in the Middle East.
Yes,
and their big competition has been Iran, obviously, which is Persian. They're
moderate versus extremists.
That's right. But
moderate Muslim.
Saudi Arabia was so close to coming to a peace accord with Israel. Remember, we had the Abraham Accords with Oman, Bahrain.
And that's when the invasion happened.
That's right. And I think Iran feared a Saudi-Israel, I'm going to put this in quotes, alliance. It's never going to be a love fest, but alliance. And that's when all of this problem started on October 7th. And what it's done, it's destabilized the Middle East. And that's dangerous, very dangerous.
Nuclear weapons in the Middle East. Israel has one. We think Iran has one.
Well, both answers are classified. So let me say this.
Public? Okay, I understand.
Yes.
I read about it every day.
That's right. You read about it. But let me say this. I don't think Iran is there. I think Iran is driving towards that capability. Right. And so that our listeners know, when you enrich uranium, you can enrich it to a lower level for nuclear fuel, a higher level for certain other types of nuclear fuel, or to a weapons grade level. And that number is classified. But,
and we don't want to discuss anything.
Right. Like that. But, and we can't, I will say this. Iran is heck bent on developing not only the capability to build a weapon, but sadly the ability to deliver one, and we cannot let that happen.
And that's the key.
Yes. Now, their recent rhetoric has been they want to retaliate against Israel. They've said for the past month that some type of an imminent attack would be coming. I hope not. The last time they tried it, they failed miserably. They had 300, I think, missiles and 2 hit and did no damage. But we helped. Other countries helped in the region and knocked that out. But if they were to do that, I would not be surprised to see Israel come back with a major and strong counteroffensive.
On the same level as whatever they received.
Or more. Or more.
And let's go. The Sky Dome is not classified. I mean, that's Israel's defense missile system.
The Iron Dome, yes.
The Iron Dome.
I've seen it work.
Tell us what that is.
Okay. It is a purely defensive mechanism. And actually, you can go back and look at the tapes on YouTube. I was on the floor. I actually saved the Iron Dome for Israel. Going back when the Democrats were in power in the House, the squad had convinced Pelosi and Hoyer to basically attempt to defund the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome is a defensive mechanism that when a rocket or any type of projectile is fired by Israel's enemies, it goes up and shoots it down, takes it out.
Automated. Everything's automated.
About 90 to 95% successful, not 100%. But think about it. Poor Israel is having thousands of these, even prior to October 7th, sent into its country by its hostile neighbors. So Iron Dome is purely defensive.
Now, who would want to defund that? That just doesn't make any sense.
Well, the squad did. And what happened was the Democrats got caught. And I'm not trying to play Republican versus Democrat. I'm just telling the truth. You can watch it on the floor. The Dems got up one after one and said, no, we don't want to defund Iron Dome. Of course we want Iron Dome and the like. And then I was just managing time on the floor, okay, just doing housekeeping work, if you will. And then one of their members took to the floor and pounded on the. It was Tlaib, basically said, "Oh yes, we are. We're defunding Iron Dome." She told the truth. I was upset with her, but she was the only one telling the truth, and I just leveled her on the floor. And I just lost it in favor of Israel, and because she called Israel everything from an apartheid.
I'm going to put you down
state.
for a statue with Harry Truman on the righteous.
There you
love
go.
You. They love you.
Hey, I was going to say it made the Jerusalem Post.
I go on. Things you've done
and I'm the favorite son of Israel now. Everywhere I go, our wonderful Jewish friends embrace me all over the world. I was in Lithuania.
Well, you're doing the fight.
Yeah, I'm doing
the fight too.
But we saved Iron Dome, and interestingly enough, afterwards, a Democratic member who was Jewish, Ted Deutsch, who's no longer in the House, got up and he said, "Hate to tell you, Fleischmann's right." So that's how it played out. But what concerns me is we were so close to peace. We were so close to moving in the right direction towards stability. Now it is very volatile, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Let's take a break, and we'll come back and talk about some of those terrorist groups and who poses the greatest threat to Israel in the Middle East. Thank you for watching.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
Looking for a college with online programs that work for you? Roan State offers flexible courses so you can go to class when it's convenient. Roan State will be there every step of the way to ensure you succeed with resources like tutoring, advising, and counseling. Find out if you can complete your degree 100% online and on your time. Get started today. Visit roanstate.edu/online to explore your options.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
1 in 7 people will need a blood transfusion during their life. That's 1 person every 2 seconds receiving a life-saving product. At Medic Regional Blood Center, we are the primary blood provider for 25 hospitals in 23 East Tennessee and southeastern Kentucky counties. Started in 1958, Medic has been serving Knoxville and the surrounding areas for 66 years. For 1 hour of your time, you can save a life. Visit medicblood.org for more information on blood donation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Welcome back. We're talking to Congressman Chuck Fleischmann about international affairs and how the United States is faring and what we're doing and different aspects of leadership. But we're also mainly talking about the situations and geography around the country and what's going on. And we're talking right now about terrorist activity around Israel. Who's the biggest threat? It's really a group
Iran
kind of thing.
Well, Iran, because they're the bank. They're funding it. It depends. Obviously, the Houthis have been very dangerous and sadly effective.
Where are they working out of? I don't know.
They're working out of Yemen. And and of course they're affecting shipping and that type thing. Hamas has been sadly very effective in their attack on Israel. They're paying a high price for that. They've been in Gaza, but now of course they're in the West Bank as well. Hezbollah has been there a long time. Hezbollah is actually part of the government in Lebanon. It's a strange situation. When I actually landed in Lebanon years ago, they were at the airport. They left us alone. We had to leave the country by 7 o'clock that night. But what's happening with Hezbollah now?
Did you fly as a congressman?
Yes.
Okay.
But they are now firing projectiles into northern Israel. Okay. So Al-Qaeda is still around. ISIS is still around. Interestingly enough, Alan, many of these groups, despite the fact that they are radical Islamist terrorists, don't get along. You'd think that they would.
They're not really unified.
It's amazing. However, they all pose a threat.
Do they have? Some come Shia Sunni? I mean, are they different types of Muslims?
Absolutely. As you know, Iran is a predominantly Shia Muslim country,
right.
but yes, that's correct. They were predominantly Sunni, but and most of the Muslim world is Sunni, but a lot of the ISIS funding was Sunni related as well. So yes, sometimes that comes into play. Other times you'll have Shia on Shia groups that just disagree and don't jihad. It's kind of interesting, but hopefully, my fervent prayer is for peace in the Middle East. Again, it's going to take strong American, United States leadership at the top. Let me be clear. I think we need Donald Trump back in the White House.
Will Donald Trump shut Iran down right away?
I think he will.
Yeah, I think so.
I think his first order of business will be Ukraine. And talking to Putin and getting that resolved.
It needs to be the border.
Second order of business, will be the Middle East, and I think he can get it done. But yes, and then the border. The sad part about the border is it's been such an abysmal failure. Biden-Harris, they incentivize it. Alan, we don't know who's here.
No. I was in a briefing with Senator Haggard he had for law enforcement and some others, and I went with my wife, who's a county commissioner, and I'm telling you, and a probation director, but she got in there, and I'm telling you straight up, it's not the 500 workers that are coming through, the 5,000 workers, it's the 300 we don't know anything about. They don't even go the same route. They go to the left.
That's right.
And hit the blue lights and come north,
I mean, we're talking China. We're talking people on the terror watch list.
Right.
I went down to the border. Went to the border with President Trump. It was a fascinating trip on Air Force One. Yeah. He's always a lot of fun to be with. You never know what he's going to say, and you just enjoy it.
That's the truth.
But but be that as it may, he speaks his mind. I'll say that much. I like the Mets. He likes the Yankees. So what are we going to do? You like the Red Sox. But be that as it may, going to the border, 137 different languages spoken. I went down there to speak my rudimentary Spanish, which I love to speak, and I spoke a little of it, but not much. It was 137 different languages.
137 different languages where?
People coming into the border that they actually had to get interpreters to talk to these people.
People come from all over the world?
All over the world.
They're being shipped in there?
Yep. Very sad.
I mean, your cooks at the Mexican restaurants aren't the only people coming in, are they?
That is correct.
And we need them. They're the kind of people we need.
We would have thought that, and prior to this, it would have been the Triangle countries and speaking Spanish.
Tell the people Triangle countries.
Honduras.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico, but Honduras,
Caribbean countries.
Yes. Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And the like. But,
Yeah, they marched all that land a few years ago. Remember, everybody was coming in. They were all hiking from everywhere and busing in. And now it's just it's gotten
Guatemala.
It's gotten more sophisticated.
Yeah,
I think the operation's gotten more sophisticated. But I mean, is the wall up? Do we have a wall?
Parts of the wall have been built,
but they're not manned.
That is correct. And sadly, it's sporadic. But it was so sad, and I used to be ranking member on Homeland Appropriation, and we would go down there, and Alan, with the best technologies, we need the wall, but we need the other technologies. And every time you'd come up with a technology that said it would stop the immigration, the Democrats would look the other way until it was too late. They incentivize it, and again, I'm trying not to be political, but call them out for it. Biden and Harris said, come on in, please come on in, and then it created a mess. Crime, drugs, all kinds of other problems, but very, very sad. And again, we don't know who's here.
What states are the most impacted?
Clearly the border states, Texas, Arizona, California. But really, every state in the union is impacted in this because we don't know where they've gone. We don't know what they're going to do.
One of the things we said in campaigns this year was every state's a border state.
That's correct. That's correct. But the big cities, these crazy sanctuary cities, which we can never have in the great state of Tennessee. Thank you, Tennessee legislature. But these sanctuary cities that were all in for these illegals now can't afford the bill for these illegals. They're just getting drained. And it's
minorities in many of those cities are upset about it.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so, because they're saying, my goodness, here we are in situations, legal citizens.
And we can't get our benefits.
And we can't get our benefits, and we want more. And now, literally, people who are illegals coming in and getting far better treatment.
Yes. Makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
No.
And it should have never happened. It was political pandering by the radical left, Biden and Harris. And what upsets me, and again, I'm all in for Trump, but what the media is trying to do with Kamala Harris is make her into something that she's not.
No.
She's far left. She was a terrible senator, a horrible vice president, a terrible border czar. Nice lady, okay,
Why
nice
does
lady.
Robert Kennedy
but
dislike her or something?
Don't know.
He doesn't like her.
He doesn't like her. And I see Robert Kennedy before this thing is over endorsing Trump. I really do.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yep.
And doing something. It's an odd endorsement, but
you take it. You take it.
Common enemies make good friends, don't they?
Yep. And it's going to come down to those border, those swing states.
I guess my argument is, being in that industry, is would he be more valuable staying as an independent candidate and pulling votes? I mean, how many Robert Kennedy people are going to say, oh, Robert endorsed Trump, let's jump over there? I don't see it.
It's an excellent question. But the question is how many Democratic votes is he actually getting now? He's been basically nullified by the Democratic establishment.
I would poll that. Yeah, that's right.
And they are. Both sides are polling it. The one thing you can be sure of, and I see polling data almost every day, both sides are polling it accurately. They know what's selling. They know what's not.
Well, they need to figure out what's the best move for Kennedy if he's going to help Trump.
Right.
I mean, if staying in's better, he needs to stay in. If getting out's better, it's getting out.
And you're going to see Vice President Harris sing from the middle. She's not in the middle politically, but she's going to be singing from the middle because that's where she's going to try to go out in these swing states and try to convince either independent voters or voters that were perhaps leaving Biden, that suburban housewife that left Biden, that younger voter that said, I'm not going to come out and vote for Biden. I mean, Biden was in a free fall. It was a sad comedy of errors for them, a sheer disaster. And then they made their move. So they've given themselves a chance. I predict, I could be wrong, but I predict a Trump electoral landslide in November.
You know, I'm looking back now and I'm thinking Barack Obama was a moderate. I'm looking back and saying, I don't know.
He has said, and I know President Obama, I served in the House when he was president. He says today, and I believe him, that he would never have governed the way he did then now. In other words, he would govern much further from the left. And but he did enough damage with the Affordable Care Act and Dodd-Frank. Thank goodness he didn't get cap and trade, but two pieces of legislation that really, really hurt this country and didn't solve the problem.
And and this new thing, I must have missed something. I'm working day and night, Steve, but taxing capital gains before you sell the product, I mean, in housing,
it's insane.
It's crazy. I mean,
it's
folks,
insane.
what that means, what Harris is saying is that if you own a $200,000 house or $140,000, and it doubles in value like many have around here in the last 5 years in Tennessee, because we do things right and people are moving here. So if it goes up, they want you to pay taxes on that gain before you sell that house. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
And stocks too.
Yep. So, and that's the voracious appetite of spending that the Democrats will have. She's talking about wage and price freezes. They don't work.
Right, they never did.
Even liberal economists said, no, we can never do that.
Right.
And so
getting pretty close to pure socialism, pure communism here.
That's right. They love the federal government. They love the largesse of the federal government. They love deficit spending. They don't like defense. They're wrong. They don't like border security. They are radical left on every issue, and that's not where middle America is. Now, let's face it, I'm more conservative than the average American. I concede that. In the great state of Tennessee, that sells very well. But she and their ticket with Walz is so far left that I don't see America embracing that.
He let his capital city burn to the ground.
Yes,
I mean, that was terrible in Minneapolis. I don't know what he was doing. I mean, they can highlight the veteran experience and everything else. I get that, but I mean, I don't understand.
I served with him. I played football with him. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in Congress.
In Congress. Yep.
Nice guy.
Actually, a nice guy. He's wrong on the issues, but he is a nice guy.
I got you.
Yeah, we played a lot of sports.
Nice.
We played a lot of sports together. Well, let's face it. When I went to the White House, Kamala at the Christmas party was very nice to me. She and Doug and I, we sat around and we talked. And
who?
We didn't,
you and who?
Her husband, Doug. Harris. She was
he's an insurance executive, right?
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer, and he was a good lawyer.
Yeah, something to talk about.
Yeah, and but in a social setting, they're very nice. But we didn't talk politics because I'd have hammered them.
I wouldn't have played the chamber.
Yeah, that's right.
Wouldn't have played the. We'll take one more break and we'll be back. Stay tuned between the lines.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Looking for a college with online programs that work for you? Roan State offers flexible courses so you can go to class when it's convenient. Roan State will be there every step of the way to ensure you succeed with resources like tutoring, advising, and counseling. Find out if you can complete your degree 100% online and on your time. Get started today. Visit roanstate.edu/online to explore your options.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Boy, these shows go fast with Congressman Fleischmann. We've got 8.5 minutes left, so we've saved the big giant for the last talk. We're going to talk about China and its relationship with Taiwan and Chinese influence everywhere.
Certainly. I was asked that question today at ETEC, and ETEC does such a good job. And I said, China is so much larger, stronger, and much more adept than Russia at what they're doing globally and internally, and they are our competition. In a few words, sadly, they want Taiwan for our
for
viewers.
The chips, right?
Yes. Well, for everything. I think it's a source for them of national pride. Let's look at a historical context. Sure. In World War II, Japan beat the fool out of China. I mean, terrible decimation. Oh, my gosh. Even after the Doodle raid, they went in and killed about 250,000 Chinese. It was horrible in retribution. But China has emerged as a world leader, as a strong economic power, as a strong military power. When they, I guess it was 1949, when Mao took over in communist China, Chiang Kai-shek left and went to the island of Taiwan. Taiwan is China's largest trading partner still today, but Taiwan has been a strong U.S. ally.
But how can, when you say China's Taiwan's, you mean
trading partner? Yes.
I mean, there's not enough in Taiwan for China to make any money. I mean, so.
Well, they trade back and forth at an economic level that is very high.
Taiwan that big?
Yes. Taiwan's got a very strong economy. It's more than chips.
How big is it?
It's environment. Well, it's only 24 million people, but it's a smaller island. But
I mean, the size of Alabama?
So affluent, yes, and so technologically advanced.
Right.
And we saw, candidly, when China gave up, well, when the lease expired on Hong Kong, it was a 100-year lease to the British, maybe 99 years, but 100 lease to the British. When they got that back, that became one of their crown jewels. And sadly, totalitarian rule came into Hong Kong. They want Taiwan. We want to protect Taiwan. We have agreed over the years to do that, as does the West. I hope and pray that Taiwan is safe. Militarily, they are very strong, but they just don't have numbers. They could just be overwhelmed by China's not only military might, but sheer numbers. I hope and pray that China does not move on Taiwan, but they've made it abundantly clear that they want that island.
What's the consequence of the Chinese making that move?
The move that we make. I said this morning, whomever is in the Oval Office is going to have a very important decision to make. What do we do? And that's why I think we need a strong executive like Donald Trump there. If China makes a move on Taiwan.
Military invasion.
Right. Do we come in to defend them? Okay. I think yes, but
But is there any chance? It seems like it's Alabama playing UTC. No offense.
Well, if we get involved, yes, there's a chance we could thwart that. If our allies get involved who say that they're going to defend Taiwan, we could thwart that. Similarly, not to digress too much, if Russia God forbid, used a tactical nuclear weapon. That's why we need a strong president. That president will have to make a decision. What is our response going to be? Now, I worry with this administration, it would be nothing.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, gee whiz, too bad, so sad. We'll boycott them for it. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think our presence, our military presence, and that of our allies, I think we need to have a resolve there. But China's diplomatic growth and outreach, again, even with our friends in Europe, I saw it last week, is staggering. Countries that like the United States say, well, yeah, China's here and we're trading with them. So slowly but surely over time, they're probably going to try to weaken support for Taiwan. So that's a potential hotspot for that entire region. What happens then between South Korea and North Korea? Another hotspot. China will be involved and the like. So that whole region, when we look at hotspots, Middle East, Ukraine, Central Europe, and China, Taiwan, there's too many hotspots out there, and that worries me.
Yeah. The more hotspots you have,
yes,
the more chance one goes hot.
That's right.
Overboils.
Absolutely. And we look at history. World War I. Someone gets assassinated, and within a few weeks, the entire world's at war.
Everybody's got a side in that thing.
And it escalates, yes.
I feel, I always thought, even in college, just in the late 70s and early, I thought that the Chinese could always be a little more capitalist with their savings patterns, 10%, 20%, whatever, and they would amass billions of dollars in influence. At that time, billions was a lot of money. And they've done that, and they've become very, very smart at how they engage. They became less isolationist. They've gained around the country. They now buy and sell almost everything.
I remember as a kid when Richard Nixon went to China.
Yes.
Democrat could have never done that.
No.
It had to be a Republican. He went to China and he opened up relations. But even then, they were a backward country. Mao, through the Cultural Revolution, had made that country even more backward than it was. They killed off all the lawyers. It was.
Every country starts with the lawyers.
Yeah, isn't that a shame?
I
know some pretty good lawyers. We're kind of nice people, I confess. But the reality is China now is state-run, and they claim to be communist, but my gosh, their business models are very reckless and in favor. They will actually go in to areas and promise all around the world, Africa, South America, and even in Europe.
We'll build it.
We'll
give you irrigation.
That's right. We will do this, and by the way, you're going to owe us. And that owing might be a naval base. That owing might be, well, now you can't pay your bills, so therefore, we will take something in trade for that.
And you can do that when you have money?
Yes.
That's no different than a loan shark in New York.
That's exactly
That's
right.
the same thing.
And they've been very effective. Yeah. And I've had people tell me, I'm the nuclear congressman. I'm Oak Ridge's congressman. I try to sell American new nuclear all over the world. Right. And they say, Congressman, when Americans come, we get a lecture. When the Chinese come, we get a deal. And that's scary. Because
it's not hard to understand.
Yeah. So we've got to get back on track and start competing and start winning. I'm going to say this as a very partisan conservative Republican. We need to start working as Americans on an American team to win. Because when we do that, Alan, it's amazing. And that's why I love the Oak Ridge community so much. Republicans and Democrats here have their differences. R and R, we know some of the R's and some of the D's. The business community comes together. Academia comes together right here. I mean, we literally stun the rest of the country right here in East Tennessee and the world. I've heard people say...
We have 1 minute left, so let's talk UT football for a second.
Oh, yeah, good, yes.
Yeah, because you're a UT alum and you're a big Orange fan, so you're going to be up here for the opener?
I'm going to be at every home game. I will be here for Tennessee UTC. Tennessee UTK.
That's a tough one for you, both in your district.
Right.
Well, our good friend Kendall Jackson's playing on UTC.
But I'm a Tennessee Vol. That's my alma mater. UTC, I love. That's my constituent. And I was so glad that a fine young man, my godson, chose the University of Tennessee at Knoxville.
Yeah, my son.
Means a lot
that's
to me.
right.
Caleb is a Vol.
I thought he was going to go with his sister. His Aunt Jeannie, my sister. Never happened.
There you go.
We're getting ready to go, folks. We'll have another show in a couple of weeks. We're going to follow up on domestic. Thank you.